Armando.
Welcome everybody to the architecture meeting for Ortelius and Emporous. We have Alex from the Emporous side. He has a quick deadline. It's coming up pretty quick here for the meeting, so I'm going to pass it over to Alex just to have him give us an update where he's at on the Emporous side. The last time I met with him, he's been doing some pretty cool stuff. And I just wanted to get him over to this meeting so we can start sharing things and cross-learning and see how we can move things along between the two projects. You ready, Alex?
No, not really, but I appreciate it, Steve.
No problem. We're an easy group, so nothing formal.
Okay, well,
Such honesty.
I'm let's see here. So I've been working on integrating the UOR data model into the ZOT OCI artifact registry, and let's see here. So I'm going to send. This is the and we still need to migrate this out of this organization. I apologize for putting it there. That was the wrong place to put it. So Steve, I don't know if you get a little help moving this over. But so what I've been working on here is the data model within this implementation is called it leverages something called a UOR statement, and I'm going to link to the actual statement here in this meeting too, so everybody can have a better understanding of the implementation here. Just 1 second, please. Told you I wasn't ready.
It's early. It's early. It's early for us and late
go.
for everybody else.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a beer just now. You're gonna enjoy your coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have here the data model of UOR. UOR transactions are going to be in this statement format, and the registry takes those statements and then indexes them as statement records, and then serves those with a GraphQL endpoint. Whenever you want to publish a new statement, all you do is just publish an OCI artifact into the ZOT registry, and when the registry detects the UOR statement media type, then that statement is indexed by the registry and then made available through the GraphQL endpoint. Side note, the code's absolutely horrible. So I apologize. This is me hacking on this for months. And then I'm gonna send a couple more links here in a second, but where to start within this particular code base to follow the paths that I've created here that get us from receiving the uploaded statement to serving it with GraphQL. When the GraphQL endpoint, when the server is initialized for the first time, it's only initialized with the UOR statement record schema. The schema can then be dynamically extended by uploading JSON schema, UOR, OCI artifacts, OCI artifacts that have a JSON schema within them. So you'd upload an OCI artifact with a JSON schema. The registry would read the JSON schema and then extend the GraphQL schema by that that arbitrary schema. And so one more note, just very quickly, in the link that I've shared with the data model, you can see here in the element struct, there's a location and resource fields, and those are.
Oh, Alex, I think try sharing. I don't think you're sharing.
No, not.
So share what you got going on so we can see what you're talking about with the struct and stuff.
Fair. Can anybody see my screen?
Yep, we got it.
Okay. And it didn't mute my mic this time, which is great. Okay. So what we have here is the statement. The UOR statement is a JSON formatted semantic triple. So we have a subject, predicate, and then object fields within this statement. Each of those is of type element here. So then if we look at the element, we see that we have the resource and location fields are empty objects with no children. So when we extend the UOR, the GraphQL schema, what we'll do with an arbitrary schema, what we'll do is we'll anchor those arbitrary schemas. We'll nest them under the resource and location fields within the initialized the server's initialized schema.
So with that anchoring, we'll be able to anchor any type of anything against those two, correct? It's not like a predefined schema that we have to anchor.
That's right. Yeah. So like right now I'm using like Cyclone DX schemas. I can anchor those under there. I've created other arbitrary schemas for like representations of Git repositories. We can have this. We can have an npm if we had a JSON representation of an npm schema. I'm sure it's already in JSON, so we could anchor that. It's literally just any schema, arbitrary schema that you'd want. If you can upload it to the registry as a JSON schema, then the GraphQL schema will be extended by that arbitrary schema.
All right, keep going.
Yeah, no, so that's pretty much it. So where am I at right now in this? Just as a status update for everybody. We have the GraphQL endpoint. You can run it. And the second link that I shared here was a specific branch I've been working on, which is upgrading the data model to the specification I've shown you. And so the server initializes with the UOR statement record schema. We can upload UOR statements to and then have them indexed. So the next steps here is trying to get the GraphQL resolvers functioning properly when I'm constructing the GraphQL schema from the JSON schema. And I'm using MongoDB. So what needs to happen is the GraphQL schema needs to be dynamically constructed, and then the MongoDB resolvers need to be dynamically constructed and then inserted into the GraphQL schema. I'm working on those MongoDB resolvers now, and then the next step will be to whenever an arbitrary JSON schema is uploaded to the registry, the next step would be to detect that arbitrary schema and then extend the existing GraphQL schema by that arbitrary schema. So those are the two things I'm focusing on now within this implementation.
Cool. So I know last time we talked kind of on that topic, being able to take a JSON schema and kind of convert it or map it over to a GraphQL schema. I did not find anything in Go, and the folks I talked to didn't know of anything in Go. I did find a way that I still need to test, that you can go from a JSON schema over to, basically this is all in Python, because Python is more loosely typed than Go. So you can go from a JSON schema to a Pydantic Python class, and then there is a Python library that'll go from the Pydantic classes over to the GraphQL schema. So maybe a couple hops, but I think we could easily create something that would take any arbitrary JSON schema, and the output of it would be the GraphQL schema. I've need some testing on it and some playing around, but it may be a possibility to get to the endpoint that you're looking for.
So I already have the I can already convert a JSON schema to the hierarchical representation of the object described by the JSON schema. I can convert that hierarchical representation to a GraphQL schema. The only thing I'm really fighting right now is just dynamically creating those MongoDB resolvers. And so, and it's really not as hard. And I'm gonna link here. I'm gonna link here the part that I've developed to do this. But that's really been the hardest part, is dynamically creating those resolvers, just because I'm not familiar with any of the technologies I'm integrating. So I'm kind of just shooting in the dark.
Yeah,
So here's where we have the dynamic conversion, and all of the logic, most of the logic. I broke a couple segregation principles when I was doing this integration. So like you'll see some of my logic extends outside of this extensions package into probably inappropriate parts within the code base where I'm making changes, and that's just kind of an artifact of my approach to hacking on this. But the majority of the logic within this implementation is within this extension, the UOR extensions package that I've linked to here.
Share your screen again. You stopped for some reason.
Damn it. So yeah, I've added this link here, and the link that I've added to the Zoom call here is this convert to GraphQL, and I know this looks terrible for a Go program that pretty much the entire implementation is passing around an empty this empty object, but or undefined object, but yeah. So here, with some helper functions, this is how we do that conversion. So and then specifically the part that I'm having the part that I'm having a specific problem with is when constructing a GraphQL field within the schema, inserting this resolver function into that field is what's failing right now. So yeah, that's a pretty much, I think that's a pretty comprehensive summary of where I'm at. And then I can just show you. No, I'll actually save that. I have the GraphQL endpoint up, but it's really of little demonstrative value if the resolver is not functioning properly. So I'll save that for next time.
Sounds good. Awesome.
So any questions for me, or?
So is the resolver specific to Mongo, or is it kind of generic when we work with any database, basically?
Yeah. So so all of the GraphQL JSON schema logic, it needs to go into its own library, because I think this is really valuable functionality for a lot of different implementations and use cases.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is once I get this working, I'm going to strip all this out, make a library, and publish it, and then that'll allow you to pass in a resolver function for any database engine
Right.
or implementation. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, that'll definitely make it flexible for everybody, for anybody to use. And you're definitely right that there's nothing else out there really like this. So creating a library will be a huge help to the community, the big community.
Yeah, I think the problem is going to be in communicating this functionality within that library context, where whenever you pass a resolver function into the schema builder, it has to be able to handle an arbitrary schema. So passing in a resolver function that's capable of doing that for any database engine is a pretty daunting task, and that's why I'm really just scoping at the MongoDB right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just get it working with one and let other people tackle the other ones. No
Yeah,
sense trying to conquer the world.
yet.
Cool. Excellent. Anybody else have any questions for Alex? Awesome. Is there any do you need any help other than that resolver? Like, is there anything outside of that folks on a call can help with, or are you just kind of banging your head for a little more to get that figured out?
Dude, if anybody has any insights into this resolver function, that would be like, if we can get that working, I can go through and then make the schema extension logic, so that we can handle these arbitrary schema extensions. Um, Once that's done, I mean, we can get this thing fired up and start actually doing the integration with Ortelius, which
Cool.
is we're right around the corner. So it's just those two tasks. Now, that's for proof of concept.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need enhancements around the authorization model for this, and making sure that only the authorized or only the content is being provided for the authorized caller. Which right now it's just going to return everything in the registry, so that obviously needs to be improved before we go to market with this.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, let's get the proof of concept sorted out, and then we can add on security and that filtering, so you only see what you're supposed to see.
Yeah, and you guys are, if you look at the data model that I shared with you in the second link that I shared, you'll see is when we index the UOR statements, we're correlating those to the OCI descriptor of the statement that was published. Um, and so we'll have the namespace within the registry that was published to, and we can very easily you reference that information uh, to determine authorization. So all the pieces are set. It's literally just putting the finishing touches on it now.
Cool. Excellent. Well, I'm glad it's moving along. I know last time you were kind of frustrated with some of the JSON schema stuff, so it's looking great. And if anybody has any insight into the resolver or is interested in doing some research on that front, reach out to myself or out to Alex, and we'll get that moving along.
I can only offer encouragement because they're super awesome.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have nothing else to say.
We'll need to buy Alex a lot of coffee and beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see
Trace,
it in action.
Trace, Tracy's saying something. She's on mute. Oh.
Yeah, Alex, on that note, we do have the holiday party for Ortelius happening on December 8th. I would encourage you to do a 10-minute lightning talk if you can on what you just presented.
And those are pre-recorded. So
Yeah, we pre-record them. You have to get it to me by December 4th. If you're gonna do it, let me know if you are, so I can put it on the schedule. But I think it's important to get that stuff out if there's anybody if you can do that.
Everybody should know by now that I'm notoriously horrible at communicating ideas. So if there's any coaching or help or if I could get like any assistance with like coming up with a script, that's something I could do.
Well, the thing is when you do those 10-minute lightning talks, the best thing to do is we could almost take what you just did, if we had your screen on the whole time and made that the 10-minute lightning talk. So I think that the best thing on a 10-minute talk, you don't have a lot of time. So you have to focus the mind on what you want to get across, and then you just record it and get it done. You don't have to, if you think too much about it, it is not as good. Let's just put it that way.
and like the whole editing and stuff like that, you just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I would approach it as, here's what I set out to do. Here's what I've accomplished. Here are the problems I've run into, and here's where I'm going next. That's
Exactly.
easy.
Exactly.
I can do that. Yes. Okay.
That would be great.
I have
And you don't have to be there. I will, if you record it, it gets ran on Twitch. But we'd love for you to be there. It's Friday the 8th, and we do beer and donuts initially. Everybody gets their badges. Simon gives us an update of what happened for the year in outreach, and then we all go over to Twitch, play games, and run the 10-minute lightning talks for about 2 hours. It's total.
Is it? You said this is an in-person event?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's a Twitch event. Twitch and Zoom.
Gotcha. Okay.
One day we'll have an Ortelius conference in person.
Yeah,
So
we're
just
gonna do
waiting for
that. We're gonna do it in New Mexico. We're gonna go do it in
I'm coming.
Roswell.
I'm coming as an alien, definitely.
We'll do it the very large array.
Oh, that would be really cool.
It'll be amazing.
We'd have to
30,
camp.
35
though.
mile not 35 mile and
50 square mile telescope.
antenna.
Is it dangerous? Is there rattlesnakes and coyotes and things?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's the middle of a
Awesome.
dead,
I'm so
middle of a
there.
dead lake.
Awesome. Sounds wild.
It is wild.
I love camping.
Anything else for Alex? I know he has to drop here pretty soon.
I have a question. Like
Yeah,
you
alright.
are doing it with the MongoDB database. So have you like set up a MongoDB database or any data stores so you can do the testing part?
You're saying, have I set up Mongo yet, or?
Yeah, have you set up a Mongo
Yeah.
database for your testing?
Yes,
Oh yeah, my idea of prototyping is like duct tape and rubber bands. So this is running a MongoDB container on my Chromebook that I connect to as I'm continually throwing my resolvers against a wall. So I do have a local instance of Mongo, but yeah, you're right. We're gonna need something a little bit more. Gonna need
I have a
something.
I have an idea.
What do you got, Arvin?
We can use the DigitalOcean to create .MongoDB.
Okay.
I have $195 of credits, and we can like put a lot of data to test it out. If Alex want to do that.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get the timing right on that. Because where we get to, those credits may expire when we get to that point. We'll have to play. We'll have to see on the timing.
Alex, if you had to run this in like a production type environment, would Mongo need to be run as a cluster? Would you need a cluster setup?
That would be wonderful. I think that what we're going to run into before we get to that point is the inefficiencies of pretty much everything I've done. So,
Okay.
in order to really capitalize on like the cluster's capabilities, I think that we would have to clean up the queries and the implementation
Okay.
first.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. So streamline the query, the actual queries, themselves, make them more efficient.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we would
Okay.
just start with like a single node Mongo instead
Yeah.
of trying to deal with a clustered environment. The cluster environments just become a headache really quick.
I've set it up before. Worked pretty well. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think that we'll definitely need a cluster. I think just for now, like if you run like whatever comes out of this prototyping is not gonna be. I think the cluster would just be for reliability at that point.
Yeah, and we could even go
No,
to the route of just using a managed, like off of Google or AWS. They have managed
exactly.
Mongo. So, and that just depending on how much you want to pay, you can enable or disable the clustering and how wide you want the cluster to be.
Yeah, I was just asking for like when it gets to that stage where you could actually run it in a full-blown like proper enterprise environment.
Yeah, and also they provide open source credits, so that will be helpful.
Cool. We'll keep that in mind. All right, Alex, we'll let you jump off to your next meeting. Thank you for all the info. Looking good.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Alex.
for sure.
So cool.
Thank you very much. It's really kind of you guys. I'm looking forward to sharing updates and whatever the next forum is. So just let me know and I'll try to be there.
Yep, this
Can't
will
wait to run it in a
happen
container.
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Should be on your calendar, Alex. Hopefully it is.
So same time 2 weeks from today.
Is if you go to the Ortelius webpage and look at events, magically, there they are.
Good. I'm so glad they're fixed.
It's forever to fix that.
Yeah, and Alex, please let me know if you don't have those calendar invites, because you should.
I probably do. My calendar is very similar to a dumpster fire, so they're probably there.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Chat soon.
Okay.
All right. So let me give an update on the other stuff that we got going on the Ortelius side. So Arvin, did you see that issue for associating the telemetry and tracing to an environment?
Yes.
Okay.
I can do the struct part easily, but for the environment test part, I have to learn Go, so I am revising it.
Okay.
I will do it in 1 today.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I came up with when I was working on that issue for Arvin that I want to throw out to everybody is so let me put it this way. A version of an application is deployed to an environment, and then the open telemetry and the tracing are, let's say we're dealing with a production environment. When people do that telemetry and tracing, are they tracing the whole environment for like all of production, or are they doing that against a specific application? You know, because you end up with multiple applications in production in the same environment. Now, when people are using those tools, are they looking at a specific application, or they're just looking at more generically everything that's happening in production? The reason why I ask that, because it kind of changes the data model slightly, where if it's based on an application that they're tracing, then we need to make an association saying that for this environment and this application version, here are the telemetry and tracing, versus here's the environment and here's all the telemetry and tracing. Does that make sense? So Arvin, you've been playing with the telemetry and tracing. What do they have? How do you see how people normally use it?
I mostly performed at the folder hole. They created the two microservices and they put it for the backend of the both microservices for the learning purposes. But we have a lot of microservices, so we have to just define that for which service we have to do the open telemetry part. Because the open telemetry data should be available only for the Ortelius developers, and we are mostly solving the issues that clients are facing. So we have to monitor those issues prioritizely. If we are getting any server issue, we can easily manage that. We don't need telemetry for that part
Okay.
because we can easily put like a server 505 server error or server disease maintenance. But for the client side stuff, I think open telemetry should be more important.
Okay. Because
I
that's
may be wrong. I need like some advice on this.
right. Okay. Let me think about it some more, and I'll ask around on that front on how people are using and which tracing tool were you thinking of, like Prometheus or what's the other one? Kayali,
Jaeger.
Jaeger.
Yeah, Jaeger for the tracing and Prometheus for the metrics.
Okay. And are those happening at the cluster level or at the individual container level?
We have to just write the code like the tracing.js or tracing.go, and it will, and we have to run all the like main Go file during that tracing part.
Okay.
So it's like we are creating a module in our code and we are attaching it to our main code file, and it will run and it will do all the connection part.
Got it. And what happens if there's some like Node.js or like Python Fast API? How's that handled?
We have to write it for the different, like they have the SDKs.
Okay.
I think I have done the one. I am like finding the code and I will show you right now.
Okay.
You should also look at Selenium, eBPF.
The Selenium testing framework you're talking about, Sasha?
No, Selenium eBPF tracing too, but it happens at the Linux kernel level.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing some courses on their site. It's free, and some of their workshops. It's pretty radical.
Okay, cool. Can you drop that link in either chat or Discord?
Yeah, sure.
I got the code. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
The machine is visible.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a node application and we have two microservices, or we just say we have two Node.js application running. One is the item service and one is the user service. For the user service, it is that we have a dash user part, and that user part is getting some more data from this API. And the item service, it has the WS and dash data that is getting data from that user service. So item service is dependent on the user service for getting its data. We have a tracer.ts which we passes as a module, and you can check it here like in the package.json user ts node.dev src user service. So we are defining it here, and in the tracer.ts we are like importing all the open telemetry Jigger and the Prometheus SDK, and we are is the metric collector, and we are taking all the matrix data. We are defining in which fourth all the traces will be available for the jigger one, and in the bottom it is for the instrumentation. We have the tracer defined here, and we are returning it. And after we have in each services, is it just a normal application, and we have to in each get we are using this. So we are tracking the trace ID from here, so we can like show it in the application. Yeah.
So that's where the tracer is being activated.
Yes. So the activation part is happening in the tracer.ts. From the item service and user service, this is only getting the data from this route. So all the stuff that will happening in it, it will create its ID and it will send it to the tracers. And the initiation is happening in the tracer.ts.
Do you have an example of the output?
I have to run it. Let me check.
If you don't have it handy, or if it's too hard to run, don't worry about
it. It will take 5 to 10 minutes, but you can like continue the meeting, and I will show you in the in the end of the meeting.
All right. We'll see. So the other thing that I've been looking at that we kind of talked about last time was looking at the MITRE attack database. So let me share my screen real quick. Arvind, let me take that over. All right, I got it. So MITRE attack is basically MITRE is one of the companies that does all the CVE stuff. And what they've created are these matrices that allow you to look at a technique. So let's look at active scanning, for example. So if we look at the active scanning technique, it has a couple sub techniques of how to go ahead and scan IPs, vulnerability scanning, those type of things. And then it provides a mitigation for each one of those techniques and a detection. So I've been able to figure out it's called the STIX2 data model that represents all of these matrices. And one of the things that we'll be able to do is to kind of answer the question, if I've applied these 10 mitigation techniques and I'm running on Windows, based on that information about those mitigations I've applied to my environment, and I'm only running on a Windows operating system, what is my exposure to the CVEs and the components? And what this will allow us to do is kind of rank the CVEs that need to be fixed. So, for example, if the CVE that's being found in the SBOMs and stuff like that for a component is only applies to an Azure cluster, for example, an Azure Active Directory cluster, then we know that that CVE is less important for the developers to fix because it doesn't apply to our environment. So when you get these hundreds of CVEs, being able to filter out which ones are actually important to the developers to fix is way we'll be able to use this matrix data. And also down the road, we'll be able to, through the ML and AI, provide solutions for folks to say, okay, I have this CVE I need to go and apply this type of mitigation, and how do I do that type of mitigation down the road? And it could be something as easy as, encrypting something is like one of the mitigation techniques, or deploying differently. If you look at deploy container, how is it being deployed, and things like that, to make sure things are looking good on the security front. So that's what I've been looking at. It is a very, the web page, these web pages make it look so simple, but the data model, the Stix2 data model is crazy complicated, because basically over-engineered to handle any sort of case that can ever pop up in the future. So it's one of those things that it took me a while to figure out, but I think we'll be able to use it pretty easily going forward and bring that data in. I still don't know where the association is going to be in the database. I'll get to that point probably next week, whether it'll be attaching stuff to the CVE or to the environment, for example. Oh, and one of the weird things that I found when we look at these techniques. So let's see, there was like denial of service is one of them. One of the things I found was the techniques and the CVEs have no direct relationship out there. So the whole concept that they have on mapping a CVE to a technique is by looking at the summary and the details that somebody typed in to describe how that CVE is exploiting something. So I actually found a ML program that looks at this data and allows us to use, you pass in basically the summary and the details into the ML program, and it'll kick out what techniques it maps to based on a bunch of similar words and all that stuff that machine learning does. So it's one of those weird things that it took me a while to figure out why you just couldn't map a CVE to a technique. It's weird that they have this, the CVEs aren't categorized correctly. But that ML program will be able to fix that and give us a high probability of what the mapping is on that front. So that's what I've run across for the matrix stuff. Interesting data and how we can fix it. All right, Arvind, you get it to work?
Yes, I'm sharing the screen.
All right, cool.
Another demo goes with you.
Yeah.
It's still hard for me, the fundamental part. I'm grabbing it slowly. So I have run the Docker container. I am running the item service.
Yeah.
It is the ID that is generating the trace ID. And I'm running the user service.
Yeah.
And it is the Jigger UI for the item service. Just go to find traces, and these are the traces. And we have to just click on each trace. Item service is here. We have to click on it. It will gives us all the details like the text they are using. What is the URI we are tagging? What is the target URI for these stuff? In the process, it will give any error or that. So it is like running fine. So just let's see and stuff that is giving us error. Like this one, it has 2 errors. So just click on it, and the lower the level, it is the first stage. So like item service is go to item service get data, then it go to some stuff. So it is the inner level. So we have to click and error is true. and it will give us about the others.
Now, is this tracing only available for like REST APIs, or let's say we have a job, a Kubernetes job that runs, that does some work with some data and then ends. So, you have the Kubernetes jobs are basically like a batch job. Can you put the tracing into those as well?
I have to look for that.
Okay.
I didn't read about that.
But it can, let me ask my question a different way. Can you trace anything that you want, or can you only trace the RESTful API endpoints?
I only read about the API part.
Okay. Well, we can start there. We can start
Yes.
there with the API endpoints, because this is going to overlap with what the dynamic analysis tools, the DAS tools, like Zap Proxy. So Zap Proxy wants to hit all the different endpoints and test them out. So this gives us that that feel as well. So
yes. And this is the like user service, and I think we can get some interesting data here. Not here. Is it just normal? Because I think I run it now, so that's why it is not showing that much amount of data.
right.
And in the like Prometheus part, we have only 5 parameter right now.
Right.
So we have to just execute and.
Well, the tricky part will be how to map a trace to a specific component. So how do you know that it's based on the URL? Because you want to be able to have the end user navigate to these traces. So we'll have to see based on how we can capture the URLs and stuff.
So yeah, it's like for each service, we have to like define something like that, item service and user service.
Yeah.
And we have to like check it manually. Like
So
we can, one is the error equal to true tag. That will give us only the error part.
And okay, so it's searched.
No traces. I think we haven't put any tags on that. That's why it's not showing.
Yeah. Well, leave it generic.
Yes. We have no error in this. Sorry,
yeah.
We have error in the item service.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is the URL at your local host 1668. It's basically a query that we have the service name in that we'll be able to use and embed. Basically, what we want to do is embed your trace URL into the environment structure that we're going to have.
So we can like manipulate the trace ID easily.
Okay.
And based on that trace ID, we can go to any trace and see its data.
Okay.
I'm not sure that we can manipulate the trace itself. For that part, I have to learn more about it.
Okay, cool. All right.
So yeah, that's all. I can show you. I can send you the code that I took the example, which is from this repo. Let me find, so you can take a look at it later.
Yeah, share that repo on Discord.
Yeah, this one. Is that already level? And this has the Docker compose for the Prometheus, Elasticsearch Digger, and you can set up anything that you want and play around with it.
Got it. Cool. Perfect.
Yes.
Great demo.
Excellent.
Owen. Yeah.
I didn't did much. I am still a newbie in OpenTelemetry.
You never say that, Owen. You always just put your poker face on and say, yes, I know. I'm
an expert.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'm an expert.
Yeah, I'm an expert.
Okay. All right, cool. That looks great. Well, let me think about I think we're going to need to adjust the environment structure slightly, but it shouldn't hold you back, Arvin, from making those changes.
Yeah, and one thing I will do that since I know JavaScript, I will try to implement it on the SCEC front-end microservice. And let's see how it will go. If it works, I will give you the demo in the next Ortelius meeting.
Sounds good. All right, excellent. Anybody else have anything that I may have missed that's on our list?
No. Also, Steve, can you tell me, like, for this Ortelius meeting, that I have to do anything? What stuff I have to do to get the next batch, like create video, write article?
I think the only thing is if you want to do a presentation at the our Visionary Summit in December, that would be the only thing that you probably want to touch base with Tracy on about the topic and what you're thinking of, if you're interested.
Yeah, I will ask her.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I think that's it for today. We'll see ya.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Cheers.